It was a Thursday morning, the kind that doesn't make the news. The sky was a sheet of pale gray, the wind sluggish, the world still rubbing sleep from its eyes. Westbridge Elementary buzzed with the usual hum of school life. Backpacks slung. Low, earbuds in, eyes down. Kids moved like shadows across the courtyard, their conversations quiet, their footsteps softer than the breeze. No one noticed the girl. Not really. 10-year-old Alina Fields walked hand in hand with her older brother, Jaden. They didn't laugh. They didn't linger. Just two figures drifting through the morning like they belonged to a colder season. Jaden, 13, kept his head down. His jaw was tight. Alina clung to his arm, her fingers small and white-knuckled. Officer Marcus Taylor stood near the entrance, one eye on the gate, the other on his partner. Diesel. A German shepherd bred for focus, trained for protection and possessed of a sixth sense no human could match. To the students, Diesel was a celebrity, the cool dog with the vest and the quiet eyes. He made them feel safe. But that morning, Diesel didn't wag his tail. He waited. Jaden paused at the threshold. He whispered something to his sister, a soft breath only she could hear. Then, reluctantly, he let her go. She disappeared into the crowd. He turned and took a step forward. Diesel moved. No warning, no signal, just instinct. A bark, sharp, abrupt, cutting through the stillness like shattered glass. Jaden froze. His eyes darted to Diesel. The other kids turned. Officer Taylor's hand tightened on the leash, voice steady. "Easy, boy." But Diesel wasn't easing. He surged forward. His nose pressed to Jaden's backpack, and then another bark, louder this time, urgent. He bit the corner of the bag, not to attack, but to reveal. The backpack trembled in his teeth. Something inside shifted, clinked. Officer Taylor knelt, voice low. "Son, I need to look inside your bag." Jaden's head shook violently. "Please, don't." And in that moment, just a boy, a bag, and a bark, the quiet morning shattered. Not from what was found, but from what was about to be uncovered. What no one at Westbridge Elementary had imagined. What no adult had seen coming. What one dog had sensed all along. And what began as a routine school day was now the opening move in a game none of them were ready to play. Diesel held the backpack in his teeth like it might bite him back. He didn't growl. He didn't flinch. He just stood perfectly still, as if the truth inside was a living thing, and he was waiting for it to wake up. Officer Taylor could feel the air change. Not just around them, but inside himself. The way Jaden stood, his feet rooted to the concrete, his lips slightly apart but silent. He had seen that look before. In shelters, in war zones, in the eyes of people who were too young to carry what they'd been given. "Son," he said again, soft but firm, "I need to open it." Jaden's eyes flicked from Diesel to Taylor, then back again. He didn't cry. He didn't run. But his voice came out like glass. He said it was medicine. For his mom. Taylor paused. The crowd around them had thickened. Kids murmuring. A few teachers approaching. Concern spreading like ink in water. Diesel didn't budge. His tail was still, his body rigid. "I didn't know what it was at first," Jaden added. He said if I didn't bring it today, he'd hurt Alina." That name hit Taylor harder than the powder he'd find minutes later. He unclipped the straps, gently from Jaden's shoulders. The bag felt too light for school, no books, no binder. Just layers of fabric and something buried between them. The front pocket was empty, so was the side. But then Diesel nosed the bottom seam and growled, low and throaty, like a storm warning. Taylor reached in. His fingers brushed a slit in the lining, barely big enough for a hand. He slipped 2 fingers in, then 3. There it was. Cold. Dense. Wrapped in layers of cling film. White powder. A lot of it. For a moment, Taylor forgot to breathe. This wasn't just a kid with something he shouldn't have. This was strategic, hidden, intentional. And the kid, he was being used. Jaden was trembling now. "I didn't want to do it, I didn't." Taylor knelt to his level. Who gave it to you? I don't know his name. He waits behind the rec center field. Said he knew where we lived. He said, if I didn't do this, Alina wouldn't make it home. The officer's blood chilled. Diesel now sat calmly at Jaden's side, close enough to touch, as if silently, saying, you're not alone now. The hallway was silent. The principal stood by, pale. A guidance counselor offered to take Alina out of class. Taylor nodded, still crouched. We'll protect her, he promised, but he knew protection meant more than keeping watch. It meant finding the wolf who wore sheep's clothing, the one who didn't show up on background checks, the one who knew exactly where the cracks in the system were and how to slip through them. That night, Taylor didn't sleep. He played. Jaden's words in his head again and again. He gave me $20. He said I'd be doing a good thing. He waits by the fence. He knows where we live. He'll hurt Alina. The last part hit hardest. Not just fear, but certainty. A threat that had teeth. Taylor recognized that kind of fear. It came from experience, not imagination. The next morning, before the sun could break through the clouds, Taylor parked across from the school. No badge, no cruiser. Just him and Diesel in an unmarked vehicle, engine off, eyes sharp. Jaden walked onto campus alone. He moved differently now, shoulders down, head low, constantly checking the fence line behind the school. And then, there he was, the man, tall, hoodie up, hands buried in his pockets like he didn't care who saw him. Except he did. He cared that. No one saw the moment he whispered to a child and traded a backpack for obedience. Jaden hesitated, reached into his bag. Taylor moved. Fast. Quiet. Morning, he called out. The man flinched. Didn't say you did anything. Just thought I'd ask a few questions. You a cop? Something like that. The man turned to run. Diesel was already airborne. Taylor didn't even need to give the full command. Just one word. Go. In less than 5 seconds, the man was on the ground, arm pinned under Diesel's jaw. Not broken, just locked. A takedown precise enough to be in a textbook. Backup arrived minutes later. The man had no ID, no phone, and when they finally fingerprinted him, they found a long criminal record under another name. He wasn't local, and he wasn't working alone. At the station, the man said little. Didn't have to. His presence had already spoken volumes. Jaden waited with a social worker. Alina had been pulled out of class early. She clutched a juice box in one hand and a drawing in the other, 2 stick figures and a big brown dog between them. Later that evening, Taylor stared at the evidence bag, the cling-wrapped powder, the torn backpack, the photo of Jaden looking older than 13 should ever look. He looked at Diesel, whose head rested on crossed paws. You always knew, didn't you? Diesel didn't move. He didn't have to. The next morning wasn't about routine. There was no badge check, no smiles at the school gate. Just silence. Taylor and Diesel were parked across from Westbridge Elementary before sunrise. No cruiser, no lights. Just quiet eyes scanning every angle. They weren't here for show anymore, they were hunting. Jaden walked differently now. There was a hunch to his back, a hesitation in his steps. His eyes darted like they were chasing shadows only he could see. But more than that, he kept glancing toward the fence behind the field, the rec center, exactly where he said the man waited. That's when Taylor saw it, a figure slipping out from the trees at the far edge of the yard. Hoodie up, hands in pockets. Same man? No, taller, broader, more practiced in the art of disappearing. Taylor moved. Quiet, slow. Diesel crouched low in the back seat, eyes locked on the figure. Jaden paused by the fence, his hand trembling as it dipped into his bag. The figure spoke, low, barely a whisper. Jaden nodded. That was enough. Taylor whispered, "Stay," to Diesel. Then stepped out. "Morning," he called, voice casual. The figure stiffened. Jaden dropped the bag. His face went white. "I didn't do anything," the man said, backing up a step. "Didn't say you did," Taylor replied, hand near his sidearm. "You here for someone?" "Just walking. Near a school?" Silence. Then the man turned. Bolt. But Diesel was faster. One bark, one command. Take. And just like before, the takedown was silent but final. No blood, no chaos. Just a man on the ground, arm pinned beneath 100 pounds of precision and instinct. Backup swarmed in minutes later. This man had a fake ID, too. No phone. But his prints told another story. Long rap sheet, different states, mostly narcotics. A runner. Not the head of the snake, but a piece of it. Jaden stood behind the squad car, hands clenched at his sides. He didn't look angry. He didn't look scared. He looked tired. Later, in a confidential meeting with the principal, Taylor laid out what he'd learned. "They're using the school," he said simply. "But how?" asked Miss Keller, her voice cracking. "We have bag checks, cameras. That's what makes it easy. You're looking for knives, not packages wrapped in cling film." The principal sat down slowly. "What about Alina?" she whispered. "She's still in danger, isn't she?" "That's what I need to find out," Taylor said. "Does she stay after school? Has anyone ever tried to walk her out? Anyone new?" Miss Keller frowned. "Not that I know of, but there's an old storage room behind the gym, barely used. I'll check it." That afternoon, the gym was quiet. Taylor waited until the last student left the court before entering through the back. Diesel went in first, sniffing, circling, and then he turned to a far corner. A loose board, a bark. Taylor ripped it free. Behind it, a narrow crawl space, dusty, dark, too small for comfort. Inside, a folding chair, an empty soda can, a half-eaten bag of sour candy, and worse. A list, handwritten first names, ages, teacher initials, and symbols. Jaden Alina. Next to her name, a red circle. Taylor's heart dropped. He took the list straight to CPS. Met with Jaden. Again, this time in a quiet room. The boy didn't touch his juice box. Just looked down. "Do you know the man we arrested?" Jaden nodded. "But he's not the only one, is he?" Another nod. "He said someone at the school was helping. But I never saw his face." Taylor leaned forward. "Did Alina ever talk?" "To anyone strange?" Jaden blinked. "She said a man gave her a sticker, said it was from you." Taylor's blood froze. "I never gave her anything." "She believed him," Jaden said. "That's why she was scared. That's why she cried." At night, Taylor stood. Diesel rose beside him. "No one's going to hurt your sister ever again." The next morning, Taylor watched the staff arrive one by one. Nothing stood out, until a man stepped out of a silver sedan. Not a teacher, not a janitor, but familiar. Taylor's mind raced. A photo. On a board, unsolved cases, a counselor from another district. Suspended, not convicted. New name. Old eyes. Taylor radioed for backup. Diesel growled beside him. Inside the office, Taylor laid the photo in front of Principal Keller. "Gregory Langston," he said. "He worked at your school." She stared at the picture, her face drained of color. "He was hired through a contractor, did lunch duty, field trips, short term." "He didn't need full access," Taylor replied. "He just needed proximity." And outside, the laughter of children felt like a cruel contrast. Because now they knew. A predator had blended into the noise. The discovery of the crawl space behind the gym had shaken Taylor more than he expected. It wasn't just what was found there. It was what it meant. Someone had marked Alina. This wasn't random. This wasn't chaos. It was organized, calculated. Jaden had said it. Someone inside the school was helping. And now that theory had a name, Gregory Langston. A photo of him stared back from an old police file. Former middle school counselor. Suspended after multiple complaints. Allegations, but never convictions. The type of case that slips through paperwork, never fully followed, never fully forgotten. Langston had vanished for years, and now he'd resurfaced, under a different name. A different job, a school with trusting staff and vulnerable students. Taylor stared at the man's photo like it might blink. "We checked every staff background," Miss Keller whispered. "You didn't check the contractor," Taylor said. And he didn't need credentials, just access. The worst part? Langston had a school ID, a badge. Kids recognized his face, including Alina. Taylor's heart dropped as he remembered Jaden's words. She said he gave her a sticker. Said it was from you. That's why she cried. That's why she clung to her brother like her life depended on it. Because it did. At 2:47 p.m. the next day, school dismissal began as usual. Alina waited by the front office, sketchbook in hand. Her fingers wrapped tightly around it like a shield. She wasn't smiling. She hadn't in days. Without Jaden, she felt small, alone. That's when the man walked up, khakis, polo shirt, lanyard with a school badge, a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Hey there, Alina," he said softly. "Your brother asked me to take you home." "He's not feeling well." Alina's eyes widened. She'd heard this before, the same calm voice, the same quiet lie. I think I'm supposed to wait here," she whispered. "That's what your grandma said too," he replied smoothly. "But it's cold. Come on, just to the car, it's right there." He pointed. Behind him, the lot stretched empty. Too empty. Alina took a step back. The secretary behind the window stood. "Excuse me, sir, do you have a pickup pass?" The man smiled. "I'm her uncle." Then, before he could say more, a bark, sharp, shattering diesel. He tore down the hallway like a missile. Officer Taylor behind him, gun drawn. The man didn't argue. He turned and ran. But he didn't make it far, with one final command. "Take." Diesel launched, dragging the man down before he reached the parking lot. It was clean, controlled, devastating. Taylor cuffed him while Alina burst into tears. "He said Jaden sent him," she cried. "I know," Taylor whispered. "But you listened to your heart, and Diesel heard everything else." Back at the station, the story unraveled quickly. Gregory Langston, real name verified, had a trail of aliases across multiple states, always tied to children, always just close enough to harm. But this time, they had evidence. Attempted abduction, a marked list, a hidden crawl space in a school. Langston wasn't getting out. Jaden and Alina were placed in protective custody while CPS reviewed their grandmother's home. The siblings didn't say much. They didn't have to. They sat in the waiting room. Holding hands, Taylor stood behind the glass wall and watched. "You always knew, didn't you?" he asked Diesel softly. The dog didn't respond. He didn't need to, but Taylor wasn't done. The next day he returned to Westbridge. This time, not as a cop, but as a man who couldn't sleep without knowing the full truth. He started at the gym again. The crawl space wasn't the only one. Another panel hidden behind the art room opened into a second shaft. Dust trails, candy wrappers, shelf marks, a pattern. And then, he remembered Jaden's backpack. It had a barcode, Taylor called. "Evidence control, trace the bag," he said. "I need to know where it came from." Hours later, the answer came back. It wasn't purchased, it was donated, logged at a church drive, but never made it to the shelter. It had been intercepted, repacked, given directly to Jaden by the man. Behind the rec center, Taylor clenched his jaw. They were using charity to move product. Disguise it in kindness, make it untraceable. Then his phone buzzed, a message from CPS. Alina drew something. Might be important. That evening, Taylor drove to the safe house. Alina met him at the door, sketchbook in hand. She didn't speak, just opened it. The drawing showed a dark room, shelves, a red chair, a clock with no hands, a box with an X in the corner. Taylor studied it closely. "Is this a memory?" he asked. She nodded. "Where was it?" She pointed to the sketch. The floor felt like the gym. Taylor's chest tightened. He scanned the drawing again, a small square air vent in the upper right corner. Did it smell weird? She wrinkled her nose. Like paint and bananas. Taylor's breath caught. He knew that smell. It wasn't fruit. It was ether. Synthetic masking agents used to hide the scent of narcotics. The gym wasn't just hiding people. It was hiding product. He geared up that night, Diesel by his side. SWAT on standby. They returned after dark. Inside the gym, Diesel didn't go to the crawl space. He went to the vents, one panel, recently unscrewed. Behind it, a narrow shaft, a hidden chamber, packages, wrapped in black plastic, color-coded. Tape, red, green, blue, red for morning drop-offs, green for weekends, blue for distribution. Diesel barked once, short, firm. They had found it, the final link. The drugs in the wall were the final straw. Everything up until now had been terrifying. But this was war. Taylor took the photos himself. Every package, every shelf. He documented it with a cold calmness, but inside, he was burning. He brought the images to Sergeant Emily Rhodes, head of the county's narcotics task force. She scanned them, her mouth a flat line. "This isn't just a ring," she said. "This is a pipeline, and they're using kids to move it." "There's more," Taylor said. He opened a folder and laid out Alina's drawing. Rhodes blinked. She remembered that? She lived it. That was when Jaden spoke up. They were back at the safe house. Taylor had stopped by to check on the kids, but Jaden wasn't playing video games. He was sitting at the window, chin on his knees, sketchbook in hand. "Do you think they'll come back?" he asked, not looking up. Taylor stepped into the room. "Not with everything we've found. They're on the run." Jaden's voice was quiet. "I don't mean him, I mean the others, the ones he worked for." Taylor froze. "What others?" Jaden flipped open the sketchbook. A new page. A face. Drawn in sharp, clean pencil lines. Scar on the eyebrow. Sunken cheeks. No smile. "He was at the rec center," Jaden whispered. "He gave me a different package once. Said if I told anyone, he'd cut my tongue out." Alina gasped. "You never told me that," she whispered. "I didn't want you to be scared." Taylor took the sketch to Rhodes. She didn't even need a second look. "That's Isaiah Clark," she said. "Ex-military. Dishonorable discharge. Connected to at least 3 youth centers in the tri-state area. Always disappears before charges stick." Taylor's fists clenched. "Jaden's ID is strong," Rhodes added. "But we need more than a drawing. Then maybe we use the line he gave him. That's how the sting began, a burner phone. The encrypted messaging app Clark had once used. They gave Jaden access again with full protection. Monitored room, digital trace, and Diesel by his side. The phone was quiet for hours. Then it lit up. "You're not dead." "Good. Got one more job." Jaden typed carefully. "Can't. School watching." B. Clark replied fast. "No school. Meet at Miller's warehouse. Bring the dog." Rhodes leaned over Taylor's shoulder. "He knows." Taylor nodded grimly. "But he doesn't know we're ready. Miller's warehouse was abandoned. Condemned."
Quiet, perfect for a trap or an ambush. Taylor didn't take chances.
SWAT stationed at every entrance. Drones overhead. He left Jaden at HQ under double watch. Diesel came with him. As they approached, Diesel's body shifted. Ears up, breathing tight. Taylor parked 2 blocks out. They moved in. Inside the warehouse. Nothing, just a plastic chair. A single phone on the floor. It rang once, then stopped. Taylor picked it up. One video file. He pressed play. Jaden, walking into the schoolyard. Live feed. Taylor's heart sank. "He's not here," he muttered. This was a distraction. He barked into his radio. "HQ lockdown. Someone's watching Jaden right now." But it was too late. At headquarters, the lights flickered. A blackout. The backup generator kicked in. But it didn't matter. By the time the cameras rebooted, Jaden was gone. A black van had slipped into the alley. He was taken. And Diesel was going wild, pacing, barking, snarling. He knew. Taylor clenched his fists. They knew how we'd move. They played us. Traffic. "Cam just picked up the van," Rhodes called out. "Headed westbound on Pine." But Taylor didn't wait. He jumped into the cruiser. "Track," he whispered. Diesel leapt. They tore through the streets. Diesel led them down alleys, across train tracks, toward the outskirts of town, toward an old rail yard. Taylor saw it first. Wanyi. Abandoned shipping container. Rusted, sealed. Diesel barked, sharp and high. Taylor ran. Inside, Jaden, tied, shivering, alive. He's still here, the boy gasped. He said he wanted to see if I'd break. Taylor cut the ropes. You okay? Jaden nodded. He locked something behind the wall. Diesel growled. Taylor turned, a false wall. One kick, it cracked open. There stood Isaiah Clarke, calm, cold, holding a revolver. Didn't think you'd bring the mutt, he said. Put it down, Isaiah. You won't shoot, not in front of the kid. But Clarke didn't see Diesel move. One bark, one leap. The gun hit the floor. Taylor tackled Clarke, cuffed him, read him his rights over the man's howls of pain. Jaden watched, eyes wide. You're safe now, Taylor whispered, but the boy just stared. Why me? He asked. Because you were kind, Taylor said softly. Because you looked like someone no one would miss. Jaden's voice cracked. He almost made me believe that. The story didn't end at the arrest. It never does. Yes, Isaiah Clarke was in custody. Yes, they had evidence. Yes, for the first time, the web of silence and fear wrapped around Jaden and Alina began to unravel. But healing takes longer. News of the rescue spread fast. Headlines, interviews, photos of Diesel standing proud beside Jaden and Alina. They called him a hero, the K9 who cracked a ring, who saved lives with a single bark. The mayor gave a speech. The school installed new cameras. Policies changed, but what mattered most? Jaden smiled again, not a polite smile, a real one. The kind that climbs up from the chest and softens the whole face. 2 weeks later, Taylor and Diesel visited the kids at their new foster home. It was nothing fancy. A porch with flower pots, a living room with coloring books and cartoons. But it was safe. Jaden met them at the door. Guess what? He said. What? I'm drawing again. Taylor smiled. Scary stuff? Some. Jaden grinned. But mostly superheroes. And Diesel. Alina ran out holding a Tupperware. We made treats, peanut butter. The vet said they're okay. Diesel sat like a statue as she fed him, tail thumping. Taylor leaned against the railing, watching it. All. He'd seen too much over the years. Too many kids broken by systems that failed them. But this moment, this porch, this laughter, it was worth every scar. Before they left, Jaden tugged at Taylor's sleeve. Did you mean it? He asked. When you said you'd never stop looking? Taylor crouched to meet his eyes. Every word. Jaden pulled a folded paper from his pocket. A drawing. Diesel standing outside a school, tail high, beside a boy with a backpack full of light. Below it, in careful block letters. Sometimes heroes don't say much, but they know when to speak. Later that month, it was career day at Westbridge Elementary. The cafeteria buzzed with noise. Firefighters, EMTs, police officers, explaining their jobs. There were hats and brochures and flashing lights. But when Officer Taylor walked in, everything went quiet. Diesel was with him. He stood tall in his polished vest, ears alert. The school didn't see him as just a dog anymore. He was family. Taylor took the mic. I could tell you about police work, about laws and paperwork, but today I'll let Diesel talk. He looked down. Diesel barked. The room erupted with laughter. You all know Diesel stopped something bad from happening here, Taylor continued. But what you might not know is, he didn't act because someone told him to. He acted because he listened. He paused. He felt fear. In a quiet boy, he felt danger. Where no one else looked. A little girl raised her hand. Was he scared? Taylor looked at her. No, he said gently. But he knew someone else was. As applause filled the room, a new story was already beginning. One that hasn't been told yet, but it will be in the next chapter. Stay with us.